thank you everyone for being here with us today. So welcome. Thank you for joining us for the second session of the Entrepreneurship4All Finance Academy. My name is Megan and I'm representing Bantony Education. We had a really great session yesterday, which was presented by Yan Miao. She helped us to explore financial resilience and building a safety net for your business. And I'm sure that if you were with us, you learned lots of fantastic tools and tips, resources that you can take home. If you weren't able to join us for the session yesterday, or you just want to catch up on anything that you missed, maybe you didn't catch the name of some of the tools that we mentioned and so on, please don't worry. We will be sharing the recording of the session later in the week when we finish the full week of this academy. And we will be doing the same for today's session as well. Everything will be recorded for you, okay? And you can always check back on our website for all of the resources, presentation slides, etc. across the 3 events from this Academy series. Now, if you don't already know about Entrepreneurship4All, it's an initiative of the European Union. We're a consortium of 8 brilliant partners from Belgium, Ireland, Italy, Portugal, and Greece. However, I'm also really proud to say that our work actually takes us much further than this. We've got actually 59 different countries represented among the people registered for this event this week, which is wonderful to see. So do feel free to pop in the chat where you're joining us from today. We always love to see just how many countries we've been able to reach. It's fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Good. And together with the partners, we've built a wonderful e-learning platform where you can explore courses on entrepreneurship, digital skills, financial literacy, sustainability, women's entrepreneurship, and of course, everything is completely free of charge for you. Our aim is to help existing and emerging entrepreneurs to develop their skills, navigate the challenges of being an entrepreneur, and to learn from our community. You might have already joined us for another one of our events. Maybe you joined us for the hackathon, for the summer school. We've had lots going on recently, or you might have already taken one of our courses, and if you have, thank you. If you haven't, what are you waiting for? There's lots out there ready to help you become a better entrepreneur. Now, just before I hand over to Roz, a little bit of housekeeping, just to say that at the moment, all of your mics are muted. If you do want to speak, and if we have the chance to, depending on time, you can use the raise hand function that you'll see on your Zoom screen, and we will invite some of you to speak if we have the chance. But you're always very welcome to use the chat for any questions, comments, or just to say hello. So I will hand over to Roz, who joins us from one of our E4All partners, Enterprise Evolution. She's here to talk to us today about aligning financial planning with your values. So Roz, it's over to you.
Hey, great. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending where you are at. I'll just get my presentation up. Hopefully you can all see that. So yeah,
yes, we see it perfect.
So yeah, I'm Roz and I am from Enterprise Evolution. So I'm part of the learning, development and innovation team, and we've all been actively involved in creating the financial section of the E4All platform. So what I'm going to talk about today basically coincides with everything that is on that section. So if you're interested in finding out more, you can just head over there. There is a QR code right now, you know, if you want to snap it and like save it for later on your phone. But as I say, if you want to explore any of the ideas and the themes in detail, then do go over there. So, aligning financial planning with your values as an entrepreneur. So what we're going to think about is knowing how that works, knowing what your core entrepreneurial values are, and we're going to explore how you can start to make those alignments in your business or even in your career. So it might not be that you've got a business at this time, but it might be something you want to start planning for around your career path. So we'll explore what it means to be socially conscious in your business. We'll look at a couple of examples as well. So I've got a few case studies, including things like B Corp, and then we'll do a little reflection on your business or career path and how we can bring those ideas with us. So the first task that I want you guys to do is in a Padlet. I've got the QR code there, and I think Megan's going to share it in the chat. I want you guys to pop over there and just think about your top values as a business. So for example, I've got freedom, impact, and sustainability If you struggle to get on the Padlet, feel free to drop it in the chat as well. But I'm just intrigued to find out what it is. What are those values that guide you in your business? Or maybe they're values that you've got, but you haven't quite implemented in your business yet. So yes, lots of goings on. Everyone's getting involved. Excellent. I love watching this. So we've already got some notes on here. So thinking about trust, innovation, collaboration, agile values, helping with my community, freedom, innovation. Yeah, thinking about your team. Authenticity, yeah, massive impact. Couple in the chat, we've got excellent speed and quality as well. Resilience, consistency and social responsibility, building trust. Risk, interesting. Another one for resilience. Biodiversity, sustainability, collaboration, speed and quality, professionalism, cooperation. I'm always scared someone's going to write like a really big word that I won't be able to pronounce. I shouldn't say that because you'll all be like, what's the biggest word we can get to pronounce? So these are excellent. So keep them in mind and we'll pop back to them later on in the session. Got anything else added here? Freedom, resilience. Yeah, cool. Let's get my slides back up. Okay, thanks everyone. So it's a really interesting task if you've not done it before to sit down and actually start thinking about those values. There's loads of online resources as well to give you prompts. My manager actually gave me a set of cards last year and it was literally just all values and just said sit down and try and pick your top values, and it was a really hard thing to do, but it's such an eye-opener. So if you haven't thought about it already, definitely sit down and have a think. And hopefully you could take some influence from them off the Padlet as well. So what does it mean exactly? Well, to align your business finance with your business values means to ensure the way that you manage your company and your money reflects the core principles and beliefs that are important to your business. So they kind of anchor you and keep you in contact with what it is that you believe, why you started in the business in the first place, and what it is that you want to get out there. So it's really important because it helps to build trust. And I say, like, when you're thinking about your financial decisions, you want that to be reflected to your customers, your investors, and your employees. It's also thinking about supporting sustainable growth. So thinking about, fair wage, ethical suppliers, and eco-friendly practices. It can help with your decision making. Again, when you're in a tough spot and you've got to make that tough financial choice, you can use your values to help you decide how you're going to grow without compromising your principles. And it can help attract like-minded partners. So whether that's someone who's supporting you or you're going to work with, sometimes it makes it easier to form those connections and helps with clarity. And it can also help encourage transparency. So being open about what it is that where your money goes and how it's invested. So I'm just going to play a little video of a story about Edna.
Edna had always loved the atmosphere of a good cafe, the rich aroma, the comforting warmth, the way a welcoming space could spark conversation. But as she poured her heart into the corner cafe, a nagging feeling began to brew alongside her popular menu items. It wasn't just about serving food and drinks, it was about how she served them. Her personal values of sustainability, transparency, and responsibility felt increasingly at odds with some of her business practices. This isn't just a cafe, she mused one quiet morning, gazing at the bustling street outside. It needs to be a conscious corner. Her first step was to tackle sustainability. The mountains of disposable cups and food containers bothered her most. In her financial plan, she earmarked funds for bring your own discount for both cups and food containers, a small incentive that she hoped would nudge customers towards reusables. She also budgeted for a robust composting service for all organic waste, knowing it would initially be more expensive than landfill, but aligning perfectly with her desire to minimize waste across the entire cafe. She even started researching energy-efficient kitchen appliances, planning to invest in them when the current ones needed replacing, acknowledging the long-term environmental and financial benefits. Next came transparency. Edna believed her customers deserved to know the story behind everything on their plate and in their cup. She updated her financial plan to include a line item for clear signage and digital displays that would showcase her local, organic, and fair trade suppliers for all ingredients, from coffee beans to fresh produce. This meant adjusting her cost management to prioritize these suppliers, even if their products were a little pricier. She also decided to be open about her pricing structure, explaining that the slight premium reflected fair wages for her team and ethical sourcing for all her menu items. Finally, responsibility was paramount. Edna knew her cafe was part of a larger community. She began by ensuring her financial plan allowed for fair, living wages for all her baristas and kitchen staff, seeing it not as an expense, but an investment in her team's well-being. She also allocated a small portion of her marketing budget to support local community initiatives, like sponsoring a neighborhood cleanup or a local food bank drive. Her ultimate goal was to publish an annual impact statement alongside her financial reports, detailing not just profits, but also her environmental footprint, e.g., waste diverted, local produce sourced, and social contributions. It was an ambitious addition to the financial plan, but one she felt was essential for true responsibility. The journey wasn't without its challenges. Some customers initially balked at the slightly higher prices, and finding truly sustainable suppliers for all her diverse ingredients sometimes took extra effort. But Edna held firm, knowing that every financial decision, from sourcing her produce to paying her staff, was now a deliberate step towards building a business that truly reflected her values. The Conscious Corner Cafe was becoming more than just a place for coffee. It was becoming a testament to how an everyday business could make a difference, one conscious choice, and one carefully planned financial decision at a time.
Okay, so that's just an example of how you can incorporate those values into your financial planning. And I think it really highlights the fact it's not just about how much money you make, it's about what you do with it. It's about being clear, and it's about thinking about the people you employ and whether you're paying them a fair wage as well. So for Edna, her core values were sustainability, transparency, and responsibility. So starting with sustainability, it was quite clear that she was bothered about the plastics and the amount of waste. So little things that she did, like bring your own cup, so offering a discount. Again, maybe that's something that can attract more customers, but you can think about it as an investment in terms of saving money on buying disposable cups by offering that discount instead. Thinking about the transparency as well. So knowing that it was really important that her customers knew where they were going to get their food from. So knowing that it's all locally sourced, that it's organic. And again, this can totally pull in a whole new range of customers that have similar values, and they want to come and they want to know where their food is, and they want to know that people have been paid a fair wage. And then she talked about responsibility. So thinking about the community that was surrounding her and thinking about how she can get involved and give back. And again, it can be something, if you think, oh, that's a really important value to me and it's an important value to that cafe, I'm more likely to go there and spend my money. And again, she mentioned about the fair living wage for everyone that worked in her kitchen. So these are things maybe that you could bring to your business, or maybe they're just things to think about in the future, that that might be relevant. So again, coming back to those values that we looked at earlier. So now I am delighted to introduce my speaker. Hopefully you're here, Diane. So I've got Diane Roberts, who is a powerhouse in European entrepreneurship. She's a founder of XP Innovates and the author of Growth Sprint. Diane has spent over 18 years helping more than 300 high potential companies scale, innovate, and secure funding. Diane has expertise in startups, design thinking, and investor relations. So she brings both strategic and insight and hands-on experience. So she's here today to share her journeys and her lessons learned and to give some advice for founders that are ready to grow with purpose. So Diane, are you here?
Hi Rose, how are you?
Amazing. I'll stop sharing this screen so we can see.
I'm glad to be here today. So yeah, and I only really got the last 10 minutes, but I know you've shown me the presentation before. So yeah, it's a really interesting subject.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. So I don't know if you want to add anything, I say, to the introduction and tell us a bit about yourself, or are you happy that I covered?
No, you've given me an amazing write-up. I suppose really what I favor is practical advice over theory, and you know what I will share is, you know, I don't give platitudes. I mean, I'm very good at just telling people it straight, especially when you're actually trying to run a business, starting out on a business, because it's difficult. You know, the reason why everyone doesn't start a business is because it's actually difficult to do. So yeah, I really favor you know, sound, solid advice over theory. So I'm going to try and get that across this morning.
Excellent. Okay, so should we start off talking about why do you think social value is important for a business?
You know, I think everybody comes to set up a business from a different perspective. Okay, so some people come in just to make money. Some people come in to enhance their life, or, you know, given this idea of control over your life, and a lot of people go into it because they want to actually make a difference, and social value is really important. I suppose I really became aware of social value, I'd say during the COVID times, when I started to look at the B Corp initiatives and started to investigate them a little bit more. And this idea, you know, that, you know, your employees, your shareholders, and the environment have equal status when you're running a business just really appealed to me. I just thought, wow, you know, this is a great way to start a business and to form a business. But on the other side, you know, I would caution people of thinking, you know, if I'm going to take on that overhead of sustainability, of, you know, living wages and whatever, that you have the finances to actually back that up. So you can't, you know, my mother used to say champagne lifestyle, you know, and you know, you can't have all of those stuff unless you're actually selling a product, you know, that actually that you have a premium price for that product, or the people are willing to pay for that. So it's just being cautious of kind of thinking, you know, yes, you know, that's what I want to do. I want to build that in, and the DNA of a company is formed pretty early on. But then working out what your pricing is actually going to be, who your customers are, who actually values that. And that is why I suppose Growth Sprint has really worked for me. It's really about, you know, what is that value creation? Who are your customers, and what's the market that you should be in?
Amazing, thank you. So coming off the back of that then, as you said about it's very much formed quite early in the DNA of a business, when should you consider including social value in your business? Should it be in that initial, like when you're thinking of starting up, or is it something that you could bring in later on?
It depends what business you're starting. I think if you're thinking about social value at startup, you're going to bring it in right at the start. Yeah. When I talk to companies about registering for a B Corp, where, you know, it's harder to fix things later on. If I've one client who does merchandising, and when I first met her and she told me the name of the company, I was like, oh, what you mean is I can put a logo on any bit of plastic that comes from China. And she goes, oh my God, that is so not what I do. Like, how did you get that, from this short conversation? But with her, we took her on a journey of eliminating all of the unsustainable practice of products that she had, about giving a living wage, about what her packaging was, what tape she actually used. So there was a lot of relearning and repurposing that if it had have been formed from early on, it just would have been straightforward. And culturally, there were certain people who didn't embrace that. And of course, I may have to lose some key staff, etc. So the earlier you can do it, the better. But just keep an eye on those overheads and make sure you're still competitive.
No, definitely. Great. Thank you so much. So if you do include social value into your financial planning, what makes you stand out compared to other companies, especially if you're looking for some investment in your company?
Yeah, well, over the last 10 years, what has emerged is a category of investor that will invest in social impact. Okay, so where sustainability and social impact are hugely important to them. And green investing, etc. So it does make you stand out in one way, but for a certain category of investor. There will always be the other investors who really just don't care. So a lot of about being successful in raising money is finding the right investor. Yeah, where you both align. So like it's a bit like getting married. Yeah. If you don't like the person before you get married, you're certainly not going to like them after you get married. And it's exactly the same with investors, okay, which is, find the right investor that has your values, and then that can help you actually stand out. Like when impact investing was just starting, I worked with a company here in Northern Ireland, and the founders had an idea around social prescribing. So rather than you going to your doctor and getting a prescription for depression, tablets, instead the doctor could prescribe you a dance class, right? Or suggest you join a hiking group or whatever. And at the time, I actually thought, oh my God, there's no way this is ever going to get off the ground. But they could see all of these discussions happening in outside of the core business I was in. And within 6 months of them forming, they were able to get a social impact investor. Because that investor had never seen anybody doing that before. It was a hugely big idea. It was certainly very risky. But now they've become the leading social prescribing software for the whole of the UK. So yeah, it can make you stand out, but you got to pick who your investor actually is.
Yeah, which is so important when you're talking about the value. It's not just about thinking about your customers, because it's like knowing your customers, but it's also knowing your investors and keeping your ear to the ground of any changes that are happening in the current climate.
But the other thing to remember on investment, there's only two ways to get money into a company: investment or revenue. Okay. So, you can be as socially impactful as you like, but if you don't have customers and you haven't shown, that you have a repeatable, scalable business model, you will struggle. So, it's this idea that you do both. You show the demand from the market and you show the revenue, and you look for the investment at the same time.
Great. So if you have got this purpose on board and it's happening, what's a good way to communicate it to your stakeholders?
Well, you know, your first stakeholder is your customer. So you got to make sure you let your customer, you know, find, you know, where are your customers? Where are they hanging out? Where are they currently spending the money that they're spending on that product? Yeah. So it always starts with me with the value creation piece. You know, what value do I create for the person? Then who are my customers? And then how do I actually communicate my value to those customers, right? And people call that marketing, okay? And that's probably the best word for it, marketing and sales as we know it. But I think it's more than marketing. I think it's, you know, it's movement. It's a community. It's about being part of that community. It's about, you know, knowing what that community wants before they even know what they want. Okay, so it's being able to focus on the opportunity and make the best from that opportunity. And if you call it sales and marketing, yes, that's great, but I think it's much bigger than that.
Excellent. And one final question, one that we all want to know. So if I include this value in my planning, how can it make me money?
Well, I think, you know, how can it make you money? It's a difficult question. I mean, I think I would change the question and say, you know, how can I create a market for this, you know, the social value product that I'm actually creating? And typically social value products tend to be on the premium end of pricing. Okay, in the middle to premium end of pricing. So if you've got something that's at the medium to high end of pricing, then you have to show that value creation. So what is that value creation? So, you know, we have a cafe in town. It's vegan. It's called Leafy Greens, and you know, I'll go there and spend an extra quid for a cup of coffee. Yeah, not because I like oat milk, but someone told me it's actually supposed to be good for me. But it's not because I like oat milk, because I don't. But because I actually feel good when I go there. You know, I actually think, oh, this is good, you know, and have a salad and all that sort of stuff. So it's, you know, if you're able to do the premium pricing and you can get a model that's repeatable and scalable, then that's how I think you're going to make money.
So it's almost thinking about that, what makes you unique as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, why here than there, you know? And those are the choices that consumers make every day. You know, where am I going to spend, you know, my money today? Am I happy to go to Starbucks, you know, and all of the connotations with that, or do I want to go and have an oat milk latte? You know, and that's at a very basic level. And you start raising that up to, you know, to a higher level, whether you're selling software, whether you're selling software as a service, people are now starting to think about that stuff. They really are starting to think about, you know, when I'm spending this money, what impact am I having? I mean, one of the big areas I heard about recently, actually, probably because I'm that age, but you know, is, you know, people choosing their pension providers depending on where they actually are actually investing their money, not thinking about where's the return, you know, when I get 60, but you know, what impact is that money having on communities, on our lives by big pension companies? And this whole idea of green investing, sustainable investing in pensions, you know, there's so much more to come out of this market, I think, on social value. I really do. I think there's so much more that we will hear about, and more products will emerge, and that's where innovation comes in, and that's where I'm excited.
Amazing. Wow, that's so much to think about. Thank you so much, Diane. That has
You're
been
welcome.
so eye-opening. And again, yeah, I love the brutal like honesty, as you say, like you need to put in the work and you need to get the money and actually be able to bring it all together and think about what it is that you're offering and thinking about those feelings and the process and who it is you're communicating with to bring it into your business. So thank you so much.
You're
Megan.
welcome. You're welcome. And thanks for the invite, Rose.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Thank you both so much. We have had a couple of questions in the chat. So I just wonder, Diane, if you're happy to
Yeah,
respond
sure.
to some of these, and maybe Rose can jump into where needed. So firstly, an interesting question from Lisa. Any top tips on how to find the right investor? Is there a recommended investor dating app or network? Dating in quotations here. I don't know if we have Tinder for investors, but do you have any tips on that?
Well, we have Tinder for investors, I haven't found it yet. So yeah, look, research is key when looking for investors, right? Because what will happen is, once you actually get investor ready and you've got your pitch deck together and you want to know all the reasons why, that this is an investable proposition. If you start picking off the wrong investors, you'll start getting, they say if you go and ask for money, you'll get lots of advice. All right. If you go ask for advice, you might actually get money is the reverse of that. So if you pick the wrong investors, you'll get an awful lot of advice that may actually take you away from where your core values are, but they were never going to be the people that were going to invest in you anyway. Okay, so it's about doing your market research and actually look at their portfolio of companies that they've also invested in. I would look to see, am I a good fit? I'd rather talk to 4 or 5 good fit investors than do 20, because your confidence will go, your ability to pitch this will go. So it's a bit like an iceberg. Do a lot of work before you actually get there. Find the right people. And then when you get, if you're lucky enough to get in those rooms, it's a pitch, it's a story. People buy into stories. You're looking for your first date with them realistically, but they really want to look underneath the hood. And if you can get into those 5 rooms, you have a very good chance if you picked your investor properly.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And who knows, maybe someone out there in the room today can invent Tinder for investors as well. Could be
I think it's a great idea.
A good business plan. Lovely. We've also got an interesting question here from Taka, who says, I'd like to know what the effective communication is to inform customers or the public that you're engaged in social responsibilities. If they don't know at all that you care about social impacts, I think it's not worth doing so. Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, I think it has to be part of your core value proposition and your messaging. It's got to be part of, what you put out there, if the market doesn't care, or that part of the market that you're selling to, absolutely, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. But if the market cares, or a part of the market cares, then that is where your job is to, have the right messaging and have the right value proposition that addresses those particular customers. So yes, I think it's really important that you convey that to them. But if nobody's listening, it's no good. And that's where I'm saying don't take on the overheads if it's not important. But if it is important and you've done your research right, then there's a part of the market that needs to know that, and it's your job to tell them.
Fantastic, thank you. And then we do have a hand raised from Danesh. So let me just invite you to unmute. There we go, Danesh. Can you take the mic?
Hi, thank you. So quickly, I do have a platform which is solving this Tinder problem for Investor Connect, but it is given in the hands of innovation hubs or investment catalyst groups or investment promotion agencies. So instead of we being the Tinder, we give Tinder technology in the hands of those matchmakers and introducers. And we also run investor readiness programs with these networks. But again, we don't directly serve startups or SMEs. for investors. We work with them through various ecosystems out there. I'll drop my contacts, LinkedIn contacts in the chat. So happy to speak further on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinesh. And I think that's it for the questions. So Ros, Diane, thank you, and I'll hand it back over to you.
Yeah, fab. Thank you so much. So do check out Diane Roberts, get on her website. Remember, Growth Sprint as well, books out there. So if you want to find out more, do have a look and we'll share those details too. So I'm going to get my slideshow back up. Where are we? There we go. Excellent. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. So I've just got a little bit here about finding meaningful investment. And again, as I say, this comes from our finance section on the E4All website. So again, this is just a couple of little snippets of it. It's not a detailed list. It's just a couple of things that I thought fit quite nicely with the topic and the theme of today. So looking for meaningful investments out here, they might not all be suitable for you. You need to do your research. You need to think about what works best for you, but they're just letting you know that they're out here and they are available to look at. So first of all is Horizon in Europe, and they're a flagship funded program, and they have £95 billion to invest with things, so projects that support things like climate action, digital transformation, health, and sustainable growth. As a small business owner, you can apply for direct grants, but you do need to make sure that it is relevant to what you do. And a lot of it is around research and development as well. So if you've got that going on within your business and you're looking at growing and doing some research and development that can help you stand out in those areas, then maybe this will be for you. And it offers you many opportunities to scale internationally. So these are some of their main themes, and the pros of them is, this is a grant, so you're not giving up any equity or ownership of your business. They can offer quite large, substantial grants for projects. There's a lot of credibility. So if you did get Horizon funding, it signals to other people that what you offer is high quality and innovation. And again, you've got that opportunity to collaborate with universities and research centres. But on the other hand, it's quite a complex application process. There's a lot involved in it. There's a lot of rules. So it's whether or not that's something for you. It's very competitive. So again, it might be that you put in a load of time, but you don't get any investment from it. It can be quite time consuming as well. And the payments can be very in stages, so that might affect your cash flow. And again, there's a lot involved in reporting and compliance, so that takes up a lot of time. The reason I brought it up is the way that it could align with your values is it does highlight the sustainable development goals. Very much they want to focus on projects, but I say those main priorities in Europe are climate change and sustainability, health and well-being, and digital transformation. It can promote that knowledge sharing. It is very inclusive and offers equal access, even to some of the sort of smaller side of SMEs. It can help create jobs, and it can help build a sustainable business model. So it might be worth looking at it if it's something relevant to you. Other things that are available are angel investors. So angel investors are people who have a lot of money that they want to invest in early stage businesses. Often they do take a stake of your or share in your company. I've got up here the European Business Angel Network, and they're a representative. So they basically have a platform. They drive responsible investment in Europe. They provide a network, but they don't actually offer money themselves. So these are all places you can go as well. There's Business Angels Europe, and there's Halo Business Angel Network. I say there's a few more as well on the E4All platform. But it can be a great entry point if you're in that startup place. So some of the pros and cons of angel investors, well, a pro is that you can access a lot of money very early on when banks might not be interested. You can find mentorship. So if you've got a lot of values and you're working with someone that is very invested in them, maybe they have some guidance they can offer. There's good networking opportunities like that. If that person is well connected, they can bring you in and introduce you to other suppliers, maybe customers, and potentially in other investors as well. And you're not necessarily expected to pay it back quickly like you might do with, if you got a loan from a bank. Some of the cons involve the fact you do have to give away some of your ownership of your business, so some shares. You might end up having a conflict with the investor at some point, or a dispute. Sometimes it can be quite a small amount to start with. The angel might have high expectations of what you're going to do, so it could put a lot of pressure on you, and sometimes it can be a bit lacking in structure and a bit ambiguous. But if you use an angel investor to align with your values, as I say, it really helps with that mentorship and knowledge sharing. A lot of angel investors are very sometimes involved in local businesses, so they might concentrate in their areas, trying to create local jobs and thinking about economic resilience. They can have a long-term relationship with you. A lot of the angels often have their own social and environmental missions that align with the EU sustainable goals. And also, again, having the investment of an angel investor helps with your credibility as well. And then the last one that I'm going to talk about in this session is crowdfunding. So I've just got a note here of crowdfunding ECN at the bottom there. So they are a leading professional network that help promote and support crowdfunding as a viable startup. They also help with creating policy around it, setting professional standards, and encourage networking and education on the area of crowdfunding. So some of the pros of crowdfunding is obviously, again, it's being able to get money without having to access banks. It can show your product. So it's almost like telling your story and already making people aware of it. It can create a buzz. So again, it can be a great thing to be posting on social media. It could be something that you are building within your community, and already those people can become the advocates of your brand. And you can offer little different ways that people can enter into it. So whether that's buying a share of the company, or if they're buying products, like ordering them early. Some of the cons of crowdfunding is that it is time consuming. You've obviously got to spend a lot of time planning your campaign and being able to execute that well. It can be costly in terms of the fees that the platform charges. So sometimes they take 5-10% of whatever it is that you manage to raise. There's the risk of failure. If it doesn't get to your goal, it can be harmful for your reputation. It's thinking about, what do you do? Are you going to make sure that you give that money back? Are people going to invest in you again because they feel like, well, we didn't manage it the first time around? And then it's about compliance as well. So it can be a little bit loose to start with, and hence why it is worth checking in and finding the regulations as to what you're doing to really make sure that the credibility is there. But as I say, crowdfunding can really help align with your values. And I say there's that community that you're already building. People are sharing that journey. So if it's something, that is really important to you, maybe it's really important to others, and people are already starting to share that message and support your growth. It allows anyone to invest. So you're not relying on someone with loads of money to just walk your way and invest in you. You're literally asking people maybe for the smallest amount to come and believe in your dream. And say you've got that campaign where you can communicate your goals and build up your credibility. And it just gives you that extra bit of wiggle room to talk about those environmental, social, and cultural missions that you may want to integrate into your actual business. So say just a few things to think about if you're looking at getting investment. And then I'm just going to follow up with a couple of very basic case studies as well of companies that you may have heard of that really think that social value is important in their business. So the first one's one that you've probably all heard of. It's IKEA. from Sweden, and they basically put sustainability at their core. So this is what they've put on their website. This is the reports they put out there. You've probably seen their adverts. So they talk about this kind of stuff a lot, but they really value things like togetherness, caring for the people and the planet. They like to think about being cost conscious. They like to think about renewing and recycling and improving. They like to give and take responsibility, and they feel that they should lead by example. So if you want to look into it, you can find a lot about their campaign and how vocal they are about it. The second example is a B Corp. So this is Wilderben in Slovakia, and they are a family-owned outdoor store. And they are a brand that really care about the environment, and they focus on sustainability and durability. The products that they sell, they offer a second chance, so they can come in for free repairs as well. They also support the local forest protection, with 1% of their sales going towards that. And they also donate all their profits to the Green Friday event that they hold in as well. So compared to a Black Friday, they do a Green Friday instead. And they also encourage active petition signatures and spread consciousness of their efforts to protect the Slovakian wilderness. So they've managed to get a B Corp certification, which is something we did mention earlier. And I'm just going to play a little video that explains what that is, and say that could be a way that you decide to show social value for your company. It might be the right fit, it might not.
Progress doesn't come easy, but isn't that the beauty of it? As humankind, we're built to do, learn, to grow, to keep leveling up. Collectively, that's when real change happens. Like the change that's happening now. Us. As businesses, we have a responsibility to be a force for good. But we don't have to do it alone. Today, thousands of B Corp certified businesses around the world are leading the way, balancing purpose with profit. For the people, we're tackling inequality and social injustice. For the planet, we are taking on the climate crisis and environmental destruction. For workers, we're championing quality jobs that build shared value for all. For the future, we're transforming the global economy with care, because every living being deserves to thrive. Now, we're raising the bar once more with a new generation of standards to ensure that every business is working on the world's most pressing issues, from climate action to environmental restoration to employee well-being and inclusive decision-making. B-Lab standards will reshape how businesses operate so the world can flourish again. Together, let's build a more inclusive, sustainable, and equitable future with B-Lab's new standards. Are you ready?
So you might have noticed that B Corp logo just appearing on everything now. You look around your house, you see it on your toilet roll, your alcohol, your shampoo, your coffee. And it's, you know, one of them things that you see it and you go, oh, aren't I great because I buy something with B Corp on it. So maybe that's something you want to inspire in your business. But it's also worth bearing in mind that there is a fee attached to it, and it is quite a rigorous scoring. So again, it's something that takes time, and you have to pay for it, I think, year on year to keep that going. So again, maybe it's something that you want to consider, or maybe it's not for you, but that's absolutely fine. And this is just like a snippet of a B impact score for another company. So great. And basically, I just want to pause here, bring back up our little notes from earlier, but start to think about your financial practices and how they align. Is there a disconnect? Look back at all the things that we discussed. Is there one change that you could make? Or is there something that you do in your business that makes you unique and you're thinking about your values and how you align them? Please do pop it in the chat. So I'm just going to get the Padlet up, Padlet up from before. So is there anything here maybe that you're doing or you want to bring with you into your future of your business? Just pop it into the chat. Let's see if anyone's got anything.
There's been quite a few messages in the chat, Ros, so don't worry, you don't need to scroll through and see everything because there's been a lot going on there. But one thing I'd like to highlight actually is something that Lisa has shared, which is social score. Now, this is something new to me, but it looks very interesting, and she shared the social score page for Enterprise Evolution. So it's lovely to see from one of our partners. That's really interesting because one of the questions in the chat was about how can we measure the impact of values. We've spoken a bit about how important it is to firstly have these values, how important it is to communicate these values as well with our customers, our potential investors. So this is a really lovely platform that I don't really know anything about. So maybe Ros or Lisa, you can tell us a bit more about it because it looks very interesting.
Yeah, sure thing. So this is a platform that you can get now to measure your social impact. So similar to, maybe how you track your finances for your business with like Xero or like Sage or something like that. This is literally software that is designed to see the social value that you create in your business and be able to capture that and actually put it into what a financial amount it would be. So saying by doing all this these active things that could be volunteering, it could be offering apprenticeships, but actually being able to calculate the exact value and share that. So whether that's with your stakeholders, talking about your customers or your investors or your board, you can actually use all this, gather it into one like amazing space and pull out a report and be able to show it and understand, it's not just that we give back a few days, a month doing this volunteering. It's like, what does that actually mean though? What value are you creating? What is the bigger picture? So yeah, that's definitely worth looking at if you're interested in investing in a platform like that, and being able to show that and showcase it to others.
That's great, thank you.
So I'll just get my final, I've lost in the digital world here. I've got that many tabs and things open. Just going to put the last little QR code there, just in case you want to get onto E4All. Say, make a little note, bookmark it, get on there, and say all these different pathways are available. So whatever way you're looking in, financially speaking, if you're starting up or you're looking at upscaling, get in there and have a look and see what's there for you. So that pretty much concludes my session, and thank you so much for joining me. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much to Diane Roberts for joining us, and thank you Megan as well for being an amazing host. Making sure everything's working. So I'm going to stop sharing. So
lovely. Thank you so much, Ros. You've taught us so much today. So thank you. And I think seeing everything going through the chat as well just goes to show that everybody really appreciates learning about something new, because I definitely wasn't very familiar with how you can align sustainability and other values into your finance. So it's great to hear. Fantastic. Now, just a reminder, we have just a few more minutes to finish up here. Just a reminder that we will be back again tomorrow. I'll just put the information into the chat now. As before, the Zoom link is the same. We're meeting at the same time, which is 12 o'clock Central European time. You do not need to register again. You can access through the same link. That's no problem at all. However, if you do want to invite a friend, a colleague, or someone else to join us, please just send them the registration list so that we know we have got their name and all of their details. And tomorrow, we'll be joined by our colleague Pamela from EIT Food, and she's going to be looking at sustainable finance. And she's got two wonderful speakers as well joining us from EIT Food. and from Reclaim Finance. So we're looking forward to that. And then at the end of the week, we will, as I've said, share with you all of the video recordings so that you can catch up on anything that you've missed, also all of the slides, all of the resources, and I might pick out a couple of things that have been shared in the chat as well, because that's always fantastic to see when our community members are also sharing things. That's really wonderful. And just a final reminder then to join us over in the LinkedIn group, where you're very welcome to add a post, comment, or share something as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and we hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you.